Hi dear students, welcome to Sri Jendra Rank Zone classes and I am your mentor, your facilitator Amit Ajmani. In this particular lecture, we will be discussing about communication. Now communication, we know it is one of the most important aspect of every person's life in which we convey our views, our thoughts, our opinion among each other. So this topic plays a very vital role in our day-to-day life, and that is why we need to learn how to do effective communication. In this particular chapter, we'll be studying about the explanation of the process of communication. We will recognize the various types of communication. We will understand and apply the various structures and networks which are used in effective communication. We'll be making use of various techniques of skilled communication, and we will be recognizing and addressing the various barriers which come in effective communication. So let us start up with the meaning of communication, what exactly communication means. Now this communication is derived from a Latin word communicare, which means to share. So now with this we can very well relate what communication possibly is. Communication is a process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, feelings and emotions, and this is done by various ways like through speech, through signals, through writing or behavior. Now when we are talking about communication process, what exactly is happening in this process is a sender, who is also called an encoder, he encodes a message, and then using an appropriate medium or through any particular channel, this sender sends this message to the receiver, who is called the decoder. Now the receiver is going to decode the message, and after processing the information he sends back appropriate feedback or a reply, once again using a particular medium or a particular channel. Now it is not important which medium is being used. It is not must that both the encoder and the decoder are using the same medium. They may be different, they may be same. The main steps which are inherent to all type of communication are: number one, what exactly is the purpose, or what exactly is the reason for the communication, why exactly this communication is being set up. Second important thing is, now the second thing is the contents of the message. The third basic step is the medium which is used to convey these messages. Now when we are talking about these various media, it may be internet, it may be written text, it may be speech, or through pictures, or even through gestures. So many various media are present in order to convey our particular message to a particular person. The next important step is transmitting the message so that it reaches the decoder. Now these messages which are to be transmitted to the decoder, they are often misinterpreted because there are certain external disturbances. These disturbances may be the noises created by humans, or any kind of noise created by some traffic or natural forces. So all these factors can result in a miscommunication. So these are a few steps which are inherent to all types of communication. Now once the message has been transmitted, the next step is receiving the message, then decoding the message, that is deciphering the message and making the actual sense of the message, and after decoding it, interpreting and figuring out what the receiver thinks was the real message. So, if through a flow chart we try to relate the process of communication, this is the actual process of communication that we have just studied. These are the various steps that the sender is encoding a particular message, and using any particular channel he is trying to convey the message to the receiver. There may be various external factors like noises or various barriers for communication, but the message needs to be transmitted to the receiver. Upon receiving the message, the receiver will decode the message and he will send the proper feedback, once again using any particular channel, back to the sender. So this is a communication between a sender of the message and the receiver of the message. Fine. This is actually what the process of communication is. Now, why we are studying this chapter? What is the need? What is the importance? What is the purpose of understanding and actually applying effective communication skills? Reason is because if we have a good understanding of the different types and styles of communication, of course it is going to enhance our personal and professional relationships. It can resolve any kind of misunderstandings and misconceptions taking place between the two people. It can contribute to a successful business venture and obviously among relations a joyful personal life. So that is why we need to apply the good communication skills in our life. Fine. Every person in this world communicates with others. Every person, right? And every person has a different personal style of interacting with each other. So in this process of communication, any person who is communicating, he uses not one particular channel or medium, but he uses manifold channels to convey his message. But how effective the communication style is, how effectively the encoder is able to transmit his message, depends upon whether the receiver has accurately interpreted the intended idea, thought, feeling or not. Because if the message that we want to convey has been misrepresented or it has been misinterpreted, the whole purpose of communication is lost. Sometimes the speaker reveals more than he wished to convey through tone or gestures, and that is why it becomes very important to understand what are the different modes of communication. This is what we are going to learn in this chapter. So let us try to relate what are the various types of communications. Here are a few broad categories of communications, and they are based on various factors. Like if we talk about based on communication channels, then the communication is of three types. Either it is verbal or non-verbal or visual communication. Based on the purpose and the style, it is of two types, formal and informal. We will be studying about all these one by one in this chapter. So first of all, let us start up with the types of communication based on communication channels. We have seen that there are three types of communication: verbal, non-verbal and visual. Trying to get into the details of each one of them. First of all is verbal communication. The name itself tells us that this type of communication involves the use of words and language if we want to deliver any intended message to the receiver. even though verbal primarily refers to communication through the spoken medium. But when we categorize the types of verbal communication, written as well as oral form of communication both are included. Now, what are these? The subdivisions of verbal. First is written communication. Written communication includes all the letters and documents and emails, any type of reports or handbooks or brochures, any type of chat platforms that we use, any type of SMS messages that we send, any kind of written interaction between people, that all is included in written communication. Now, the written form of communication is very important. It is must, it is essential, and it is indispensable when we are talking about any kind of formal business interactions, like any contracts, memos, the press releases, the formal business proposals, the agreements, the legal instructions, the documentation. So the written form of communication is indispensable. No particular business can sustain without any kind of written communication. And how effective the written communication is, it depends on various factors, like what exactly is the writing style, what type of grammar or vocabulary is being used, what is the clarity of the contents which are used in this form of written communication. Fine. Now the next category of verbal communication is the oral communication. Oral communication refers to the communication through the spoken word. Now these words may be spoken face to face when two people or a group of people are talking to each other, or it may be telephonically if we are calling someone, or through any kind of voice chats, or if we are doing any kind of video conferencing or any other medium. If we are using spoken words, that is called oral communication. All the formal mediums, like lectures delivered, the conferences being held, the seminars, the meetings, the informal conversations, chit chats between friends and relatives, gossiping, they are all a part of oral communication. Right now, we are doing this kind of communication itself only. This is a class, a lecture given by me to you people. This is a formal medium of giving lectures through oral communication that is reaching you. Now, effective oral communication, how effective it is, what exactly will be the impact of oral communication? It depends upon the clear speech and the tone used by the speaker, the way I am doing right now. I'm trying to be in such a particular tone that you are able to understand. If my speech is clear, if my tone is understandable, only then you will be able to relate what I am trying to teach. But if I am speaking very fast, if I am missing words in between, if my tone is not appropriate, then in that case, the whole purpose of this lecture, of this teaching will be lost, because I will not be able to express myself, or you will not be able to comprehend what I am trying to say. Fine. So if somebody is speaking in very high or very low volume, the oral communication is impacted. If somebody is saying too fast, it is not easy to catch the words. If somebody is saying too slow, the other person loses interest. And all these factors, they impair the communication between people. Fine. Now, the non-verbal communication styles, such as body language or the visual signs and cues, they also affect the quality of interaction among individuals or among groups. Fine. Now, a very important thing is this verbal communication is the easiest. It is the fastest and the most successful form of communication. But you will be surprised to know that according to the researches, it only comprises of 7% of all human communication, which is hard to believe, hard to digest. Because what we think is that throughout the day we are speaking something to someone. So the verbal communication should be approximately more than 80 or 90% of the total communication, but it is not so. Just think, most of the day you are speaking less and you are conveying something through your mobile chats and Facebooks and all the social media. Now that becomes a written communication, not a verbal communication. Clear? Now the second type of communication is non-verbal communication. Now in this non-verbal communication, we are communicating our views, thoughts and ideas, but not through words, but by sending and receiving wordless messages. Sir, how is it possible? A message conveyed without words? Yes, of course, because you are at the moment just thinking about the literal meaning of the word message that you receive in your mobiles. Message means you want to convey any information. Now, these messages can help in verbal communication. They help in conveying our thoughts and feelings contrary to the spoken words. They help to express the ideas and emotions on their own. These nonverbal communications are very important. Why? Because some of the functions of this type of communication in humans are to complement and illustrate. It is to enforce and emphasize, to replace and substitute, to control and regulate, and at times to contradict the denoted message. Now, these type of non-verbal communications are of various types. First is physical non-verbal communication. And what exactly is meant by physical non-verbal communication? This is our body language. We are not saying any particular word in response, but our body language tells it's all. Our facial expressions, our stance, our gestures, our tone of voice, touch, and other physical signals, they all constitute this type of physical verbal communication. Somebody is asking you to do something and you are just moving, nodding your head. You never spoke even a single word, but that thing simply means you have accepted it. Someone is scolding you and tears are coming out of your eyes, simply means you are sorry for what you have done. Somebody is saying something to you, and if you don't like any particular substance, the way you actually look at the person tells it all. Fine. At times, you don't say any word, but you just pat somebody's back. That simply means you have appreciated him of his work. So these are the physical non-verbal communications. In business, taking an example, in business, leaning forward may mean friendliness, acceptance, and interest. While if you are sitting with crossing arms, it can be interpreted as antagonistic or defensive posture. Now it depends on obviously the person, the way he wants to take your expressions and the way he wants to interpret it, But that is why we are using the words like may and can. There is no hard and fast criteria when it comes to communication, how one person relates your gestures. That is depending upon person to person. Through the estimates by the researchers, it has been found that 55% of all communication is physical non-verbal communication. 55% is a huge number. Our smiles, our frowns, pursing of our lips, clenching of our hands, they all are physical non-verbal communication because they transmit our emotions. Those emotions which we are not expressing through verbal communication. We are not saying something, but the way we respond through our body language, that tells it all. Fine. So this is first type of non-verbal communication. Second is paralanguage. Now what exactly is paralanguage? The way you say something that is important to reveal the intent of the message. The actual words used by you, they lose their importance because of the way you are saying it. Dear students, you need to learn all this thing for the test. This is what I am telling you. And you said, okay, sir. This tells that you are taking it in a positive sense. But the same sentence when I say okay, now this okay is more than your disagreement. You are not liking it. The word has been used same, okay. But the way it has been used, that is important, and it reveals the intent of the message. The voice quality, the intonation, the pitch, the stress, the emotion, the tone, the style of speaking, the facial expressions, the eyes, expression in the eyes, all these things, they together communicate either your approval or your interest or the lack of it. Whether you are interested in somebody's talk or not, your body language, your para language, your tone, this tells us all. Once again, as per research, the tone of the voice, it accounts for 38% of all communications. The other person is trying to judge, is trying to interpret the actual words through the tone with which they are being spoken. Fine. Next type of non-verbal communication is aesthetic communication. All the art forms, dancing, painting, sculpture, music, they are all means of communication because they all distinctly convey the ideas and thoughts of the artist, the performer. A painter is not saying any words. A painter is not actually present in front of you. A painter is not making any kind of body language signs. But through his painting, he tells it all. A sculptor, through his constructive work, he tells it all. A dancer conveys all his expressions through his dance. Music, the lyrics of the music tells us what exactly the person is feeling right now. These are all types of non-verbal aesthetic communications. Painting, sculpture, dancing, no words are spoken, but it tells it all. Next type of non-verbal communication is appearance. Obviously, appearance is the first thing that is noticed about a person. We can make judgments about any particular person just by his appearance at times. It always happens with us, with every one of us. At times, we find someone so impressive just because of the appearance. We are looking at him or her from such a distance. We never had a conversation, we never know them, we don't know anything about them, but still we make an image based on the appearance. Similarly, we find somebody at times very repulsive. We start disliking someone just because of the appearance. This is very important. Appearances. A well dressed and groomed person is always considered to be organized, to be methodical. But if you are looking at a sloppy or a shabby person, you cannot have a favorable impression of that person. You will always think in a negative sense. So, dressing appropriately in all the formal interactions is emphasized, right? When we come to offices, we know that there is a dress code. Why this dress code is formed? Because appearances create differences in impression, and the dress code is generally kept formal. Normally in offices, we have got formal suits, trousers with plain white or light colored shirts, and leather shoes for men. Bright colors, jeans, t-shirts. These things, they are actually, they are looked down upon. If somebody is coming to the office in a t-shirt, especially with slogans or informal wear, then that is being frowned upon. They are not liked. It's not a good impression. In the same way, for women, two-piece trousers or skirt sets or formal ethnic wear like saris, that is permissible as a formal dress code in any particular organization. That is considered good. It gives a good impression. Just try to relate. If you are going to eat something in a hotel or a restaurant, over there you have seen the waiters. They are all dressed up neatly, having ties, wearing coats and jackets. What a good impression you will get. But same thing, if you go to eat something in a hotel or a restaurant, and there you see that people are just very casual, very shabby looking, will you feel like eating at such a place? Even though the food may be very tasty there, it may be very cheap as compared to the first hotel, but it is the appearance that matters. Fine. Next are the symbols, such as the religious symbols or the status or the ego building symbols. These symbols also convey a lot much information about a person and his attitude. Fine. So these are the various types of non-verbal communications. Now the third type of communication we are talking about is visual communication. First one was verbal, the spoken words, including the written as well as oral. Then it was non-verbal, in which we have seen many categories. And third one is the visual communication. Visual communication simply uses some visual aids such as signs or typography, drawings, graphic designs, illustrations, colors, other electronic resources, LED screens, right? So these are all visual communications. And because they are to be in visual form, they are usually written type of communication reinforced, right? At times, it may replace the written communication altogether. Why? Because everything is there on the screen. Now, this visual communication is a very, very powerful medium because what we see, it impacts us more. We tend to remember it for quite longer time, and that is the reason why the print and the auto visual media that makes effective use of the visuals to convey their message. All the advertisements that we see in the media, that has a lasting impression on us. And for such type of communication, there are various visuals like graphs, the pie charts, other diagrammatic representations. They are very helpful. Just looking at a simple graph, we can read, we can manipulate and analyze that graph. In pie chart, we can see what exactly are the various divisions and how much percentage is allotted to every particular thing. So these visuals, they convey the message very clearly and very concisely. All type of information that is trying to be conveyed, that is being conveyed through these visuals. And when it comes to official presentations, this type of communication has become very, very, very important nowadays. Okay, so these are the various types of communication. Now, when we talk about the style of communication, we have two types of communication. One is formal communication and one is informal communication. Formal and informal we already know, right? So let us try to relate each one of them as to what exactly they mean when we are talking about communication. We know that in any particular company, in any business, in any organization, effective communication and free flow of information is very, very important for the success of the company. So all the well structured formal communication channels, they need to be established in every organization in order to communicate all the messages rightly, precisely and in a proper manner. Fine. Now these informal channels of communication, they are also equally important, right? All the verbal communications which are done between the friends or the family members or in a community or society, they're all informal and casual in nature. We talk with our friends, we don't talk with our hello Mr. Ram, how are you doing? We don't talk to our friends like using this Ram, Mr. and everything in front of the names, no? It's very casual. So that is informal approach. Now informal and formal, once again, formal communication, whether it is oral or written, it follows certain rules. There are certain principles, certain conventions which need to be taken care of while conveying any particular message. Another important aspect is the hierarchy of the organization has to be followed as to who is communicating with whom. There is particular restriction on that thing. We'll study in detail in the same chapter itself only, so don't worry about it. And when we are talking about formal communication, obviously we require formal format, we require a formal style, and obviously formal language. It needs to be used. Now in formal communications, the communication pattern is of three types. It is vertical or horizontal or diagonal. Now, this is what we are talking about, the formal communications in formal organizations, in businesses, in companies. Let us talk about each one of them one by one. Firstly, talking about the vertical communication pattern. Vertical means up and down. So, in this pattern, the information can flow upwards or downwards. How? The data, the information that is collected, it flows up to the top levels of management for review and decision making. All the information which is collected by the junior staff, the juniors, they will collect and provide details to the top levels of management. These people on these top level, they will review that information, they will make some decisions, and accordingly they will send the instructions and orders back to the people down from those management and seniors. So this information now in the form of orders and instructions, that is passed to the subordinates so that they may be implemented. Fine. So this is basically a vertical format. Next type of format is horizontal pattern. Now in horizontal communication, it involves communication between two parts of the organization which are at the same level. Can you try to relate the difference between vertical and horizontal? When we talked about vertical, it comes out to be the boss above and the subordinates down. So the information is either going up in the form of details, all the work done, and it may come down in the form of the instructions and orders. But when we are talking about horizontal communication, it is like this. Two people at the same level, they are trying to communicate with each other. For example, the managers of a particular project, they may hold a regular daily or weekly or monthly meeting to discuss the progress of the project. Now there are two different, three different or four different managers who are managing individual departments. One is looking after the material, another is looking after the wiring, another one is looking after the labor, another one is looking after the accounting. So all these are managers, and if they are actually discussing something, now there is no order passed between one or two, right? So this is kind of horizontal pattern of communication. The third one is diagonal communication. Diagonals, we know it is like this: A to B, C to D. It is a diagonal communication. This type of cross-functional communication is between employees at different levels of the organizational hierarchy. This is called the diagonal communication. Nowadays, if we talk about big organizations, this kind of diagonal communication is increasing its hold. Why so? Because of this type of communication, the chances of distortion or the chances of misrepresentation of the facts, that may be decreased. How? By encouraging the direct communication between the relevant parties. A is having a communication with B which is of a different level, and C is having a communication at D level. A and D are talking to each other, right? So they already know what exactly were the feedbacks of B and C. Similarly, B and C are in conversation with each other, so they already know what A and D are saying. So this type of communication pattern is called diagonal. Taking an example, a junior engineer, he is reporting directly to the GM, the general manager, regarding the progress of the project. Junior engineer is not giving reports to senior engineer, then project manager, then general manager. No, there are no such different levels. Junior engineer is directly freely going to the general manager to discuss the details. So if there is any kind of misrepresentations from the project manager or from the senior engineer, now that possibility is not there. Fine. Now all these that we have discussed, the vertical, horizontal and diagonal, these are all institutional, organizational way of communication, formal communication. Next what we are going to study is about the informal communication, the way you talk to your family members, the way you talk to your friends. Informal communications: casual, friendly, unofficial, and at times irrelevant, at times without any purpose, just time pass, right? This is a spontaneous conversation and exchange of information between two or more persons. They are not actually informing something. They are done without conforming to the prescribed official rules. There are no set rules as to what is to be said and what is not to be said. There are no such processes involved in this type of communication. There is no system as such, no formalities, and there is no chain of command. This type of informal communication we have among family members, we have among friends, the neighbors, any member of the community in our society, any other social relationships which are based on common interest, tastes, and dispositions. And here, because there are no set rules whatsoever, so the information can flow from any source in any direction. There is no set rule who should speak first, who should speak later. It is casual. Everybody who want to express an opinion can intervene anytime. Even the employees in any particular company or organization, when they are outside the formal domain, if they are in the canteen, if they are out somewhere, they also interact in such an informal way. Such type of communication done by them is called grapevine gossip in the office. There are so many times that so many departments are there in a particular company, so all the employees, depending upon which particular level they are, if they are meeting, they can meet, they can discuss any matter casually, informally, having some party time, fun, enjoying. So this is quite common. This type of grapevine communication, it satisfies the social needs of the people. We need someone to talk to. We need someone who can listen. We need to share our views, or maybe to time pass. To pass our time, we talk with someone, and it helps in building relationships. At times, in organizations also, these kind of informal communications are done so that the higher management people, they actually are able to address the various needs or the various grievances, the complaints of the employees. So at times this communication is done in the organizations for this particular purpose, right? So to sum up, when we talked about communication, this communication is very, very, very important. Till now, we have studied about the various types of communication, whether it is verbal or non-verbal or visual. Then we talked about the formal and the informal ways of communication. Informal, we talked about various patterns, whether it is vertical pattern or horizontal pattern or diagonal pattern. And informal in itself means no formalities. Informal in itself means casual attitude. So there are no as such bifurcations, rules, systems, or patterns when we talk about informal communications. Fine. We'll be ending up the topic here itself only. This is quite important, and furthermore, we'll be studying very important things, not only important from the exam point of view, but important from your personal life, practical life point of view also. Because communication, expressing of ideas, talking, that is our inherent characteristic. Okay. So I hope that whatever we have studied, number one, you have understood it all. Number two, you will go through it. There are times when actually we are forced to take up the bookish language to explain a few things. So you need to go through the bookish language also, and all the theoretical concepts, the various types you need to learn. Theoretically, this chapter is quite important. Okay. So we'll meet you in the next lecture with the topic ahead. Till then, take care of yourself and have a great time. Thank you so much for watching.